Good to have you with us on Bitawd. In May of 2022, Ethiopia's inflation rate stood at 37.2%. By March of 2026, it had fallen to 9.4%. That is single digits for the first time in years. It is also one of the sharpest slowdowns in the country's recorded history. It has drifted back up to 13.9% since. And through every month of it, nothing in your kitchen got cheaper. The slowdown was real, and the relief never came. The reason is a single distinction that almost every headline leaves out. Think about a car on a long, straight road. Inflation is the speedometer, and the price level is the odometer. The speedometer tells you how fast prices are climbing right now. The odometer tells you how far they have already traveled. So when the news says inflation is falling, what is falling is the needle. The car is still moving forward, and the odometer is still counting up. Economists call that disinflation. It means slower growth in prices rather than a fall in them. The word for prices genuinely going down is deflation. That is the car in reverse. Put real numbers on that idea. Suppose an item costs 100 Birr. Inflation runs at 30% for a year. By the end of that year, the same item costs 130 Birr. Now the rate falls to 25%, and the headlines call it good news. Many people hear a 5-point drop. They expect the price to come back toward 90. What actually happens is that the item moves to 125 Birr. It still rose, just by less than it rose the year before. Disinflation is not relief. It is the same pain arriving more slowly. So what does Ethiopia's odometer actually read? Take a basket of goods that cost 100 Birr in April of 2014. Carry it forward using the country's own published inflation rates. By April of 2025, that same basket costs about 626 Birr. More than 6 times higher in 11 years. And for the last 3 of those years, the rate was mostly falling. That is the whole paradox in one sentence. The needle came down while the odometer kept spinning. It is worth knowing where the official figure comes from. The method explains a great deal. It starts with a national survey of what households actually spend their money on. From that survey comes a fixed basket of goods and services. Each one carries a weight. In Ethiopia, food and non-alcoholic beverages carry 54% of that basket. Everything else carries the other 46%. Housing, clothing, transport, health, education, and the rest. Housing, water, and fuel on their own account for 16.8%. Then enumerators go out and price it. They check the same items in the same 200 marketplaces every month. Collection runs from the first day to the 15th. Those prices are averaged into sub-indices. The sub-indices are then combined using expenditure weights into one national index. That index is measured against December 2016, which is set equal to 100. That base year is not permanent. It is reset each time a new household survey updates what people actually buy. The rate you hear on the news is one simple comparison. It is this month's index against the same month a year earlier. Now you can see why your own experience does not match the headline. There are 3 gaps, and not one of them is an error in the data. The first gap is weight. Food is 54% of the official basket. For a low-income household, it is often far more than that. When food prices jump, that household feels a far bigger shock than the national figure reports. The second gap is location. 6 regions carry more than 95% of the national weight. A national figure averages across very different markets. Sugar can be scarce in one town and plentiful in another. Both show up as a single smooth number. The third gap is the basket itself. The official one is fixed and average, while yours is specific to you. Think of a long daily commute or rent in Addis. A personal inflation rate can run well above the headline. Which brings us to the long record. Ethiopia has published monthly inflation since 1998, and the series tells a consistent story. The peak came in July of 2008 at 64.1%. Food alone ran at 91.7%. There was a calm stretch from 2014 to 2017, when the rate held roughly steady. Then came the surge of May 2022, at 37.2%. And then the long slide since. But here is the number that matters most. Across 322 months of data, prices actually fell in 28 of them. That is roughly 1 month in 11, concentrated in 2 short episodes. Both of them arrived alongside economic distress rather than good times. Deflation is not the reward for beating inflation. It is usually a signal that demand has collapsed. So when the next release says inflation has eased, read it precisely. It means the increase is smaller than it was. It means nothing more than that. The price level almost never comes back down, and it was never going to. What restores what a Birr actually buys is not a lower rate. It is incomes rising faster than prices, sustained over years. That is a different number entirely, and it is the one worth watching. See you on the next deep dive.